everyone. I've now been making masks for 48 hours and I think I'm over all the bumps of trial and error. So I want to give you a step-by-step approach of how to easily make these masks. Step 1. You're going to cut out your fabric. I will provide the dimensions for you, but this is your large piece that will make the mask. These are your 2 side pieces for the sides, and these are your 2 pieces of elastic. So all in all, you will have 5 pieces. So that's the first thing you need are the supplies, 5 pieces. Step 2. You're going to take your long rectangle and you're going to iron about 1/4 inch seam on both sides. Sort of makes it look like a scroll. And you'll notice on this side I've already zigzag stitched, and this side is raw. Simply zigzag. Always back it up and reverse it just to reinforce the stitch. If you have a serger, it's even better. My serger bit the dust, so it's about the best that I can do. But there I have both sides zigzag stitch. This is going to help create your pocket, which is the next step. The next step is you have your sewn edges and you literally fold it into what looks like a mailing envelope. The one I just zigzagged, I'll show you. So you bring it up so, and there's no exact way to do this as long as it has just a little bit to flap over. That is the next step. Pretty easy so far. You are going to iron 1-inch pleats. Here's the pocket that I just showed you, and then you're going to use that pocket dip as your first pleat, and about 1-inch pleats. It doesn't have to be exact. A lot of patterns I've seen floating around the internet have 3 pleats. I pleat 1, 2. It sort of looks like 3, but there's just 2 there. Next step is you're going to now sew straight across the pleats with the elastic in place. I'm going to show you how to do that. So you notice I have 3 raw pleats on the end that are not yet sewn. I'm going to take my elastic and I'm going to put the first end there, kind of right on the edge, about 1/8 or 1/4 inch from the edge. Again, it is not an exact science. And you sort of make a smiley face. And then you're gonna stitch straight down. I'm gonna go ahead and stitch that. I don't use a zigzag stitch for this because I want a really firm stitch. I just do a straight stitch. And you want to really reinforce that elastic, so I'm going to go back and forth a little bit on the elastic. I go forward and I take my elastic to make that smiley face and I attach it on the end and reinforce the seams. Go ahead and cut the excess above the seam, just so. take your small pieces. You have 2 of these. They're 2 by 6, I believe. You're going to place the raw edges together. Now these are a little bit longer than you actually need. You notice there's some flaps, okay? This will just give you extra wiggle room. You lay it right over the elastic, right over the raw seam, and you're going to sew this in with a straight stitch. There we go. And there you have it. You can also trim some of that. I think mine's pretty good right now. Take some. All right, after you have your small little flap sewn over the elastic, it's going to flip up and over. Just like that. And I'll show you the other side. Now this is where you have to get a little bit creative, but I'm going to help you. You have these flaps on the end. You could just fold them over and sew them, but they would be ugly and you would have some raw edges. So I'm going to show you what I have found. This is after my 48 hours of tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. I decided to cut at an angle to get rid of some of the excess. And I basically fold the side down and then I fold the top over just like that. Now it's a little thick and tricky to sew. I use a zigzag stitch, and you may have to help your sewing machine along and encourage it. Sometimes I have to lift my foot, my sewing foot, to allow it. But I just tuck it, and then I'm going to take this. I'm going to zigzag. To me, this is really the only tricky part of this. I've tried it without the binding on the edges, and I will show you one without the binding that's perfectly fine, but I'll tell you my reason for doing this binding and why I think it's really the best, in my opinion, of course. Here's a completed one. So here's my pocket, the envelope. You notice the pleats are there. I find that the binding creates a real nice, thick, protective closure. You notice the elastic in the front comes over the binding and over this way. This helps to lock, the elastic sort of helps lock the mask in place. Whereas if it doesn't have the binding, it looks like, yeah, here's one that I did without the binding. And you can see just the pleats. And it's just fine, except you don't have, you see how it sticks out there? That binding sort of helps push the edges closer to your skin and therefore giving you a little bit more protection. So that is it. If you have any questions, leave me comments below and I'd be glad to help. I hope this video was helpful and I really hope that you will join the efforts. If you can cut, if you can sew, if you can buy the fabric, whatever you can do, be of help for your community. We together can make a difference.